Hi there and happy end of the year. Really looking forward to 2026. I loved 2025 because it was my very first year as a knitter and crocheter. I started learning in November of 2024, so my very first projects were made in the winter of 2024, but I actually finished my very first sweater at the start of this year. So this has been my very first full year as a knitter and crocheter, and I'm ecstatic. I'm gonna share with you everything I made from the start of the year until my very last project, which is unseen on social medias yet, and I will share it firsthand with you. The first thing I made is actually something I finished. It's the step-by-step sweater. I made it in alpaca cotton in this primary color, so this is 50% alpaca, 50% cotton, and I followed an incredible easy pattern which has a YouTube video tutorial, so it was super nice for me to knit my very first raglan. I wish I had done some things different, but I still believe it's really wonderful for being my very first knit, and I started it back in 2024, I think early December, and I finished it in January of 2025. Then with some yarn that was left over from the step-by-step sweater, I made my very first The Simple Thing. And I say my very first because I then made 3 more during the years as gifts. One again with some leftover alpaca cotton, and it was in blue. And then one in cashmere for a friend, and one in wool and alpaca. I can't remember, and I don't have any more with me since I gifted them, but yeah, this was my very first one. It's in red, it's very short since I had just some yarn left, and so I can only tie just one knot around my neck, but that's alright. As I said in previous videos talking about this, it does make me feel like a steward in an airplane. But I love it, and it was such a nice way to use some leftover yarn, and also my very first try with the I-cord, and I fell in love with everything that has an I-cord. Then I designed my first vest. This is the Panama vest, this is crochet, and it's made in wool and alpaca. I couldn't find this cinnamon color anywhere, so I had the back panel made in a different color with the same material, but I do love it. It was my very first project. I had some lovely tester doing this with me, and I think this basket with textures is amazing, and it's a free pattern and it's a free video tutorial here on my YouTube. So if you're looking for something like this, I had just a simple thingy on the side, but some of my tester made this with ribbons, very cute, and so yeah, you can make one too. Then I kind of fell into the tester world, and since I was looking for testers, I was searching for similar hashtags, so like hashtag testers wanted or hashtag testers needed, and so I found this is from artist Flowieric. They are a crochet artist, and this was one of their tester call. So this is a little sun friend plushie I made, again with some leftover yarn I had around, and I just love them, and they live in my studio. They are usually there, so if you have ever seen some of my videos, you might have catch them be hiding behind the leaves, but yeah, super cute. And such a quick knit too. I think I did this in like 2 days. Then I was sent this kit by an Italian brand of yarn. This is the Linnea vest by Vicky Knits, and the yarn is cashmere that was recycled, so it's called Cashmere. And I struggled a lot with this pattern because the instructions were not clear, and I was actually missing a whole page of instructions, even if they sent me a PDF. So I was like, something's weird is happening. But the yarn is very soft. This actually had some embroidered flowers on it. I made them for the photos asked by the company, then I removed them because I wanted to add some pockets. I did not do them because This is quite huge on me when I wear it, and that's because I was following my size, but my size is not as large. And so I am kind of thinking about either frogging it or remaking it in a smaller size. I don't know, because I think it kind of suits me, but it's not the best color on me. Maybe you will tell me. Maybe you can help me choose what to do with this cardigan vest, because it's very, very soft. So I love the yarn, but and I don't know if I'm brave enough to frog it under after all the work I've put in this, and it was truly a labor of love. It took me months, and again, with the difficult instruction, I was having some trouble, but yeah, I don't know what to do with this. I don't wear it as much as I would, so I think maybe frogging it and making something out of the yarn would be the better choice for me, but maybe I should just give it another chance. We'll see. Then for myself, I made the Kopenhamn sweater mixed with some lace mohair in the yellow stripes. This is whole 100% merino wool with the lace mohair in the stripes. And this, I actually, the pattern had a different chart, and I just made it ribbed. And then the sleeves were quite weird, and I didn't like how they were in the pattern, so I butchered them. I didn't know what I was doing. It was my very second raglan, my second sweater, so I'm not really content, but I do love the color, I love the feeling, and I added some elastic on the neckband, and this helped it greatly with the fit. So now I'm wearing it more often in this winter time than I did last winter. So I think this is okay. I think I would love to remake or edit a little bit the cuffs. That's how they called? I don't know, because I binded them off really, really tightly, so it fits me, but I would love for them to be a little bit smoother, I think. Then with some chunky yarn, I made this little pet bed following a pattern on Ravelry. This is crochet, and it's actually, even if it's huge, it's actually quite little for my very big cats. And so it's been a while since I thought I should just frog the side, made it a little bit wider, and then remake the sides. So one day I'll do that. They still use it sometimes. They just like put their neck on the sides and just whomp their face over that. Ooh. Then it was the time for my sock challenge. I tried 3 different methods to make socks. DPNs, magic loop, and just very small circular needles, and these were the only socks that survived that video and that challenge, and these were made with the magic loop. These are the basic bed socks, and they are made in lang jowl, and they are my very first pair of socks. I do believe they have quite some holes, but I love the color they have, and I love the experience I had and the memory of it, and I actually wear them a lot. Not as much as I would, because if I've done the cuff just a little bit longer, I think I would have made a bit more use of them. And then it was summertime, and I wrote with one of my friends the archer bag pattern. This has made me so happy to see so many archer bags being made. This is a free pattern that we wrote and knitted, so this was mine, made with scrap yarn. So some of this is from the linnea vest, some of this is from the step-by-step sweater, some of this is from the socks, is the lang jowl, and I think there's some merino as well in here. And this is not lined, but it is zipped. And again, it's a free pattern that can be adjustable in the size and the strap length. And after making this, I was having so much fun, and again, the positive feedback we received was so much. We made more just to take more photos and videos. So I made this one again, all in scrap yarn. So these are different colors of, I think everything is like wool or a blend of wool and something. Again, this has a zip, but it is not lined. And I just made this, I made a whole video about this, but I made this by cutting 2 meters of yarn, then knotting them together, so inside it had so many ends to hide. But that's okay, they are on the inside of the bag, and I just love this, super, super colorful. I received tons of compliments when I wear this outside. So this started my video series about scrap yarn. So I was making a video a week where I used scrap yarn to make stuff. And so I made this archer bag, then I made 3 bucket hats. 2 of these I gifted, while this one I kept for myself. This is 100% cotton, and I just created this lovely color by working with 2 different yarns, one green and one beige, and changing the green throughout but keeping the beige. Then in my scrap yarn series I made this mesh top in crochet, and this was all different kind of cottons, all in different colors, and then I dyed it to be this kind of unique green that still has shades, since the background color of each of these ones was different. But I actually loved working on this because it taught me crocheting the round, and it did teach me a lot about dyeing yarn. I then worked on a video that had 3 projects, each of them using just 1 skein of yarn. I made a chunky hat that I gifted. I made an amigurumi, I do believe. Another simple thing with some alpaca cotton, and I did made this crochet bottle holder, always with scrap yarn. And again, I wrote a free pattern to make this, and this has also the instructions to have a strap, and it does has different sizes, so you can make it for your different sized bottles. Then, just before leaving for the holidays, I had an unresolved business with socks, and so I tried making more, and I made these ones following the Indulgence sock pattern. This is a yarn I bought in Japan, and this is, I think it's called Trek by Amirizu, and I just love the clover colored green with lots of different shades of it. But it is a little bit tough on the feet, so when you walk on them you can kind of feel it. So I don't wear them as much as I would, but these were my second pair of socks, and again some holes, but that's okay, we were learning. And so I made my third pair of socks. This is all alpaca, I think it's Super Socks Alpaca from Lang. I can't remember if that was the name, but it's something like that. In this very bold red. I followed the long sock pattern on Ravelry, and these were nice. I think I was getting the constructions of the sock more and more with each pair I made, and these were the ones I did with fewest mistake. And I think when I wear these, since they are quite a heavy like thickness of the brand, it's a 6 ply if I remember correctly, they do sit quite nicely with my feet, and I can wear them more often. Then, since Archer bag was getting well, quite famous for my standard, and lots of people were asking for a crochet version, I made it. So this is the Archer bag in crochet. Again, this is 100% cotton and with the zip not lined. And I did write the pattern for this and also made the video tutorial. And for some reason, I mean, so many people were asking me for the crochet, but when I dropped the pattern, not many did it. So it has just a few projects on Ravelry. So if you love to make something with crochet and with scrap yarn, this is a great way. And if you're learning to crochet, this is a quick, easy beginner project. You can also make this as a gift, so just consider it. Summer came and I was very, very lucky to be chosen as a tester for the colorfield vest by my main, Lisa, my mane actually. I don't know the perfect pronunciation, but the yarn for this was kindly sponsored, and it's Isager wool, and the pattern was a joy. Actually, it took me like the most intense month of knitting I've ever did, because it involved lots of techniques I had never made before. Double knitting, intarsha in the round, and so yeah, I learned so much, but the instructions were incredibly clear and the designer was super helpful, and so I just had a lot of fun. And I brought this with me in Scotland. I knitted this in Scotland with me, so I have a whole video with me knitting this in Scotland, and it holds so many nice memories within every row and every stitch of this vest. And since the yarn was sponsored, it's not like my usual palette. So the colors are a bit different for me, but I do love that. Like it's a nice change, and I love to wear it at the office. Then I made the cottage home socks by Stone Knits. I actually first made this during my sock challenge all the way in February/March, when I made my first ever pair of socks, but they were huge on my ankle, so I tried to remake them and they were too tight. So no, wait. First they were too tight, then they were huge. Then I tried a third time and they were all right, but the floats were everywhere. So this is my fourth try. And the float game, we are getting there, but this was like my very first color work project, well, like my fourth one. And I was just very happy when they could pass on my ankle and just I could wear them, and I was like, okay, that's all right, I'm gonna keep this. So I made this, and this is all Alpaca Classic by Rowan, and Rowan felted tweed on the green part. And I really, really love the colors of these ones. Then I made another arch bag, this time lined. So I made this while filming the video tutorial for the knit version, and I decided to line it to add something to the written instructions for my pattern. And so I lined this with an old IKEA tablecloth. But yeah, it has pockets too. And again, this is 100% cotton. Then with some friends, we decided to make these pillows following a tutorial on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the creator, but maybe I put it in the description. And this was, I think it's called chenille in English. Anyway, this material, not for me. The color, all right, I guess. The pattern, yeah. But the material, oh my god, I couldn't see the stitches where I was crocheting into, so it was a bit of a mad thing. But this is cute, and yeah, it's on my sofa, and I just have very happy memories of me crocheting this with my friends and all of us complaining about the materials. Then it was time for the viral sailor slippers. I made a vlog about this that recently came out, and this was my very first time making slippers and felting something. So these were supposedly a 42 AU, but they were a little bit wide for me, so my partner took a hold of them and made them theirs, and he is a 45 EU. And they fit him quite nice, and they have been growing larger with use, so we are thinking about felting them again for just like half an hour an hour tops, so they can be a little bit more fitted to his feet, and then just they will enlarge every time they are worn out, I think. But yeah, super cool colors, and I did use the advised drop snow for the light green and the yellow, but this dark green one was actually wool and alpaca, and it did felt it great. The sole is made of that too, so I was quite happy with this result. Then I made these wonderful fingerless gloves. These are made with a mixed, I think it's wool, yak and linen wool. And the designer kindly gifted me the pattern because I said they were like Fantastic Mr. Fox, and they said that's exactly what inspired it, and so they gifted me this, and the pattern was super nice, and these were very quick to make. I think it took me like a week just working in the evenings, and it was my very first time using a duplicate stitch to create a drawing on a knitted piece. So I first made the stars, and they were okay, and then I made the apple, and I think I truly understand what I was making. While I was making this, I had to watch a tutorial and try several times, but in the end I love this. They are super warm and cozy, and I can't wait to wear them in the winter time right now. And for my last piece I have to get up. Woo. And my latest piece, so I just blocked this last 2 days ago, and so it dried last evening, and this is the twist loop sweater. No, yes, the twist loop sweater by Adel Loops. This was started in January and finished last week, so full December. And it's my very first cable project, and it's made in 100% merino wool. And I was making this, I am making this with a friend, so we chose the same pattern, the same wool, the same color even, and we casted it on together, and we worked on it for quite a long time together. So we decided to keep it hibernating for the summer and then take it back this autumn. But since I was having a lot of projects and many markets and events and tutorials and videos I was filming, I was quite slow, and they were very kind in letting me have my time and waiting for me. And now I finally finished it, and they are going to finish this, I think, during the winter holidays, and then we're gonna wear it together. And it's a bit, I mean, I love it. I love the sleeve, especially the decreases that are made on the sleeves are extremely nice. But I think I have some problems with like the length of the raglan, since it comes quite a bit low for the armpit size, armpit length. It does falls a little bit low, and with blocking the neck has stretched so much, so I think I need to put some elastic in here too, like I did on my Kopenhamn sweater, and I just think this is something I will do with all and every raglan I ever wear and make. But this is my third sweater and my third raglan, and I'm thinking at this point raglan might not be for me. I mean, these are all quite nice. I love the results. I'm wearing them a lot, but I do believe I feel better with a defined shoulder. So I believe my next sweater project won't be a raglan, and I think I'm gonna look for some shoulder definition. So if you have any project to share with me, I would love to have a look at some non-raglan pieces. But yeah, this took me so much. I think I took the time estimate for this, so I'm gonna I'm gonna make some math. I'm gonna make some mathematics and I'm gonna update my Ravelry page with the full description for this. But yeah, it's my final piece just in time for December and for the new year. And so this is everything I've made, and I'm extremely scared of putting this on top of the tower, but I will for the sake video and not for mine, because it will definitely fall down on me. Okay, no, that's all right. Okay, we can live with this. I can hold it from behind and you won't see, but there's my whole arm holding this behind. Ta-da! This has been just 1 year of knitting, and this just, I hope if you are a beginner knitter or crocheter, you won't see this and be like, oh my god, this person has done so much and learned so many different techniques and just knitted so many pieces, because that is not what I want to do at all. I want to share with you how amazing it is to try new techniques and try different patterns and try and sometimes just shoot for a little bit over what you think your confidence level is, and you're gonna learn by trying. At least I did. So yeah, this is not at all something you should consider like counting the pieces I made or confronting them to you. Everyone knits and crochet at their own pace, and everyone will have different things made. So if you just make sweaters, it's gonna take you longer than knitting hats. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I thank you so much for following me along my adventures of knitting, crochet and fiber arts. And if you want to see more, I would love to see you in another video of mine. So happy end of the year and see you in 2026. Bye!